Hello, my name is George Rosel with the Lancair Owners and Builders Organization. I'm here today with my Lancair 4P turbine in my hangar at Denver, Colorado, Centennial Airport. I wanted to start a video and cut it up into segments to show you and illustrate some service work that should be done on all Lancair aircraft that have a retractable landing gear with the over center links. We have found there's come quite a few insurance claims over the years. Probably the majority of our claims are from the nose struts collapsing and the airplane going over on its nose, which causes a pretty good insurance claim. Probably the largest claim across our fleet that we've had since these airplanes began being built. I'm going to start by, of course, dismantling my airplane by taking the cowlings off, exposing the landing gear, putting the airplane up on jacks so that I can cycle the landing gear. So that's where we're going to start, and I'll like to take you step by step through some checkpoints and some service points, some recent modifications that Lancair has worked with us to come up with some more robust changes to make these nose struts better for you. Stay tuned and we'll go to the next slide. Just to give you a little situational awareness, I have opened up the Lancair Build Manual, Chapter 20-18. You can see the over center links here. This is the upper over center link and the lower over center link. Here's a forward view, and we will be talking about some space right in here and in here that sometimes occurs and allows this whole strut to shift back and forth to the left and right. We're going to be replacing these with a much more robust fixture from Lancair. Well, here's another picture of the side view of those over center links, upper and lower. But over here laying on my bench is the new beautifully polished over center link. If you look at it sideways though, you'll see how we've beefed it up. It's not just one piece. You'll see that it's now two pieces and equalizing the load on the bolt here, which is part of the problem in the past where the over center links have given way and the nose wheel has collapsed. You can see that this bolt goes through here and it screws in, and then it's safety wired into this hole here. I mentioned earlier on the strut, these are some spacers that have been homemade to take out some of the slop on both sides of the main strut mechanism. A gas strut that we will be replacing while we're in a brand new strut, 100 pounds or more. Quick shot of the gas strut that we're going to replace with a brand new one. Periodically, you need to test that at annual or whenever you're servicing that nose strut to make sure it's not lost its pressure, because that's your emergency gear extension for your nose strut. At the end of this presentation, I encourage you to go to Lancair's website and make sure you download the brand new service bulletin 078-0722, which illustrates the installation and the step-by-step process of what we're going to go through today. Just a quick overview of my airplane before we start removing the upper and lower cowling. I have now removed the upper and lower cowling and raised the airplane on its jacks, ready to cycle the landing gear if I need to, but for right now I'll just come into the airplane and show you a couple of the items where they're located. Down here lower is the upper and lower over center link. This is the lower inner sink that we're going to be changing out. Right here is where the problem has been with wearing out and getting too much slop in this joint right here. This is the upper over center link right up here. See the black cylinder right there? The emergency gear extension, the piston that we're going to change out. It's good to change those out every now and then, check the pressure on them. And then right behind it is the silver cylinder. See if I can get to it. That is the main hydraulic actuator for the nose strut. Okay, it's time to remove the emergency gear extension strut, the gas strut, and I'm going to point to it here real quick again. It's right here, this black cylinder looking thing right there. Now before I do that, if you look across the way, I've disconnected on the main hydraulic actuator for the nose strut. I've disconnected hydraulic lines forward and aft to take all the hydraulic pressure off the system. And also I need to remove the AN5 bolt here to give myself a little room to move the over center links and get the pressure off that gas strut so that I can remove it. Looks like on this AN5 bolt we have the bolt head, of course, and then a washer, thin washer, and a thicker washer on this side. I have now removed the gas strut and need to remove the fittings on each end. I have it on a vise squeezed between two little pieces of wood so I don't damage the cylinder. I am going to check from side to side the main nose strut and the pillow blocks. That it appears that I do not need to shim anything inside because I only have maybe a 16th or a 32nd of play up in there, and I don't think I can improve upon that. But let me see if I can get my camera up there to show you what I'm going to be doing. Up here are the pillow blocks right here on both sides, on either side. I'm going to take the nose strut and try to wiggle it back and forth and see if I can have any play. And you maybe can hear a little clicking, but that's all I've got is a little bit of clicking that might be a movement of a 32nd of an inch. So therefore, I'm not going to take that apart and put any kind of bushing in there because I don't think I can improve what I've got. On each end of the gas strut, I might illustrate, because this can be kind of annoying getting this in and out. You want to put a little dab of grease on each ball before you reinsert this. But if you look at this little pin here, once you install it and you push that all over the ball, this is the keeper pin that goes in there, and sometimes can be really difficult to get through the other side, and then it swings around and snaps in. I'm not doing a very good job. There we go. And then it goes all the way around, and that snaps in on the other side, and that's what keeps the ball from coming out of the retainer. I now have the new lower over center links installed, and I've not put the safety wire on, but I want to point out something. When you install these, there's two thin washers, if you can see it, between. Hard to put in, but I recommend you putting a thin one on both sides instead of a thicker one on one side. Now, the trick to do that is you need to put a little grease in there anyway. So put a dab of grease on both sides, stick the washer on there, and they'll kind of hold them in place while you run that bolt through. Okay, I just wanted to show you real quick. I snugged up the bolts just tight and then backed them back off. You don't want to get them too tight so they won't swing back and forth like this. Okay, and then don't forget the safety wire. See there? Okay. As you can see, I still have the airplane up on jacks. I'm ready to test the full cycle of the landing gear up and down. I'm going to do that here in a minute on another video. And I also want to test the emergency gear extension. But before I do that, I might review real quick what I've done today to make these changes to the nose wheel strut. And I'll start by saying what we did was we changed out the old over center link. They're also known as drag links, the forward one, to a more robust. If you remember, it had a fork in it, and they're much more heavier duty. And there's you see, this is the old one, has a brass fitting in here that has tend to wear very quickly from side to side. It's a softer metal, and we realized that that's not the way to go. That's why we've upgraded. Also want to emphasize when you jack the airplane up on the jacks to make sure you support it with some kind of stand and don't rely on the hydraulics of the jacks and the engine stand that I use because that will leak off, and I've had this supported with angle iron for the last 3 days and hasn't moved it a bit. I ordered about 4 of these brand new several years ago just for stock. This is the gas strut for the emergency gear extension. suspaparts.com, and part number is C as in Charlie 16-18820. 100 pounds. I'll show it there so you can make note of it. I'd suggest they're not very expensive. I don't know, it's been too many years, so I don't know how much they cost, but I'd have 3 or 4 on hand so that you can change these out at annual when you need to, because they do wear out. I had to replace some recently on my wife's car on the hatch in the back. It was just flopping. As soon as I replaced it, she was happy. She made me dinner that night. So one of the first things we did was bleed off the hydraulic pressure on the system so that we could disconnect all the connectors. And the first one you want to disconnect, we talked about earlier, is this one here in the front, the main one that attaches to the nose strut. And that way you can move and have a little more play to get it loosens up so you can get everything else off. Okay, I'm ready to do the gear retraction test. I've already have the gear lever in the cockpit in the up position, but of course it's not going up yet because it doesn't see any airspeed as a safety device for my particular airplane. In order for me to simulate airspeed, I've got a tube placed into my pitot tube, and I'm going to blow into it, and we'll make the retraction happen. There we go. Gear's up, everything looks good. Okay, now I've got to jump up in the airplane, put the landing gear down to simulate gear extension. Here we go. There we go. It all went down very nicely. I have retracted the gear, and I'm going to simulate emergency gear extension. In order to do that, you have to pull the circuit breaker for the hydraulic pump, electric hydraulic pump, simulating that you've got a pressurization problem, either hydraulic pressure or your pump's gone out. So I'm going to call up in the airplane and put down the gear, the emergency gear, which is that gas strut that pushes the nose wheel down that we changed out a little bit ago. And let me jump up there and we'll put it down. But my system has a nitrogen-filled bottle that pushes the emergency gear extension down the main gear. Many other airplanes, Lancairs, have a pump, hand pump to pump it down. But my particular system does not use a hand pump. It uses the nitrogen gas that's charged up within a canister. So here we go. And I got 3 green. Gear came down and locked. I did notice when I put in that new gas strut and get it positioned and bolted back in, how much stronger it was from my old one. There was a definite difference, which gives it more speed to push that nose wheel down in the event of a hydraulic failure. This video is not only just for Lancairs that have the retractable landing gear system with the steerable nose wheel. It's for all Lancairs and anybody in the aviation community. You know somebody, most likely you'd know somebody that owns a Lancair that has a retractable nose wheel. And so we want you to pass this information on to them. But primarily we're talking about the nose wheel. When a nose wheel collapses, you have a huge insurance claim immediately. The prop will have to be rebuilt or replaced. The engine will have to be removed from the airplane and completely broke down. And a huge expense, probably in the $100,000 range. Not only that, it could cause injury or possibly death. And so we want you to pay very close attention to servicing and maintaining the nose wheel. If you do have any kind of indication of a shimmy or a problem, shut down immediately. Do not proceed further. Get expert advice, expert inspection, and repair the airplane as necessary and as required. That over center link, the Achilles heel to the over center link when it does fail is typically when these, and I've already replaced mine on my airplane as you saw earlier in the video, but the lower connection of it will start wallering out that connection there. If you have had one of the modifications that has the brass bushing, that brass is soft. We found out quickly that will fail quicker than anything else put out in from the Lancairs community. They also came out later with a stainless steel, which is better, it won't wear, but we feel like the latest service bulletin has come out where you have the forked design. You will see how robust it looks, and it does not cause a torsional stress on that bolt, but yet a conventional straight-on stress that will not wear nearly as quickly. Recently there was an accident up in the northeast part of the United States. We don't know for sure, it's too early, what the cause of the accident was, but we do know from the tapes from the tower, it was a Lancair 4P turbine converted to an LX7. It had a PT6 engine on it, which is a little uncommon, but this was a huge conversion for the 4P platform. But regardless, he was cleared for takeoff. He aborted that takeoff after rolling down the runway for whatever reason, made a comment to the tower that he had a landing gear issue. And we don't know what that issue was. In 3 to 5 minutes or less, he was cleared for takeoff a second time, and of which he went off the runway. How much airborne, we don't know, but he crashed on the field, just right off the runway. The pilot survived, but the airplane was totally destroyed. We suspicion it has something to do with the nose wheel, either the over center link collapsing or a shimmy of the nose wheel itself. Don't delay. If you know of anybody that has this, talk to them about it, or if this is your aircraft, do something about it. If you guys have ideas for a video of any topic, get it to us. We'll take a look at it and we'll let you know if we can use it. On a final note, the real theme of LOBO is safety and training. Make sure that you do your annual recurrent training every year. And if you're a new pilot, so often these airplanes are being sold to second and third owners that are not experienced in the Lancair community. They think they can go to a local flight instructor and get instruction. These are special airplanes, as you well know. That's why we bought into them. Get good training. Look at our website. We recommend many good instructors. Take a look at that. Contact us. We'll help you get connected. Thank you very much, and have a good day.